Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're ready to get started. Everyone signed in? Mr. DeFrancisco. I'd like to welcome everyone here today. My name is Paul Peddle, acting chair today for traffic safety. Bob Ramsey is out sick. Yeah, he took ill, so he didn't want to be here today. He's resting. Looks like we do have a quorum, I believe, so we can get started. Thank you all for signing the attendance sheet. And everyone has a copy of the agenda or took a look at the agenda. There's some agendas, I think, over here.
They make a lot, I don't know how many people needed them.
So first up, for the committee, did everyone get a copy of the July meeting minutes?
There should be a pen up there, I left one up
Just
there.
a motion, oh gee, sorry, April.
I'm going to make a motion to accept the April 1st, 2024 Traffic Safety Committee meeting minutes as written.
Second.
Second. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Yay,
Yay.
Aye.
Aye.
against, nay?
Abstain.
Okay, motion to accept our April 2024 minutes has passed. All right, so everyone has the agenda. First, we're starting with just unfinished business. First up, Sharon's joining us today. Once again, she's joined us a couple of times in the past recently regarding our 102 traffic concerns that were brought up by the citizens earlier this year and over the years. And I think Sharon has some additional information on that.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the record. My name is Sharon Carson, and I am the state senator for the town of Londonderry. You are exactly correct. A number of citizens came forward after a young man was killed out on 102 with some real safety concerns. I put together a meeting with town officials to discuss what we could do, and I invited Bill Cass, who is the Commissioner of Transportation here. And we decided that there was a bill, it was Senate Bill 471, I believe, and we were going to try to push that forward. It passed the Senate, it went to the House, but unfortunately the House said no. So the Senate, we have a lot more flexibility than the House. So when the time came, I attached that bill to the 10-year highway plan, knowing very well that we have to have the 10-year highway plan. So it has passed both bodies. It went through the Committee of Conference, and it is winding its way through the process, the enrolled bill process. It has to be looked at by a number of individuals and in the Office of Legislative Services to make sure all the language is correct. Then it will go to, I believe, the Speaker first, then the Senate President, and then the Governor for signature, and it is someplace in that process. So I was told anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. Once that happens, they're going to let me know, and I will be reaching out to the town to see if we can get a meeting together with Commissioner Cass again, possibly have it open to concerned citizens, because there were a number of citizens who had expressed a lot of concerns, where we can have a community conversation about what to lower the speed limit to.
Okay.
And hopefully provide some direction to the department. And of course, make sure we have our police and fire there. I know that there was some discussion when we had that meeting with our town's fire chief that they had difficulty coming out onto 102 because of the traffic concerns, and that might be a good opportunity to bring that up as well at that time, that maybe there needs to be some sort of a light there, even if it's a blinking light, something to let people know that fire trucks and ambulances are coming out of that entrance and they have the right of way. I find it completely objectionable that they have to find a different route because they can't get out onto 102. So that's where we are today. I confirmed that again with the governor's office. He hasn't seen it. So it's somewhere in the process.
Okay.
So in addition to that bill, also, though, Sharon, again, the town did, Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission, on behalf of the town, had completed the application for the roadway safety audit. So that has been submitted to the state as well.
Oh, that's
We're
good.
working on two, kind of two
Two
fronts
fronts.
trying to get
Okay.
some action.
I'll make sure to get a copy of that.
Yep.
So I can have it to read and just be up to date on everything.
Yep.
So when we meet.
So that's good. So 10-year plan is something that has to be signed, so I mean, it's
Yes.
good to attach it to that, right? So-
Yeah, it was, and I had talked with my fellow senators, and everyone agreed that this was a good thing to do. There were some House members who had some concerns, but I personally didn't think that they rose to the level to stop this. The Department of Transportation has always been reasonable in dealing with communities, and in discussion with the Hudson Town officials, they brought up the fact that they have issues on 111. There always seems to be some sort of an accident happening out on 111 as well. So I will be meeting with them, with the commissioner to discuss 111.
And I think I keep hearing more about Southern New Hampshire Planning Board and more focus on our involvement with the Southern New Hampshire Planning Board. So I think those would be good going forward as
Yes,
well.
they would. In fact, I served on that board for a number of years, and the former executive director is also a legislator, and I've had conversations with him about this, so.
Right, yeah, interview process, right, Chad, for town council?
Mhm.
All right, very good.
Thank you very much for your.
Thank you for that update.
Sure.
Being on this and working on it as diligently as you have.
Well, that's what you're supposed to do.
Well, thank you.
It's a problem. I mean, I think we all know it's been a problem. I know our police and fire have talked about the speed limit on 102, and in fact, people that actually live along 102, some of the real difficulties that they have. So hopefully we can come up with a good speed limit on there and just move forward.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Senator.
you.
Thank you.
Sure.
I just wanted to clarify.
Thank you,
one
Ray.
thing is that, am I ready to go up there?
Yeah, just,
State your name.
Raymond Blethyn, 18 Rosini Road in Avery Estates.
thanks,
So,
Ray. Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify one thing, is our entire neighborhood came to this committee and learned
Absolutely.
about it long before the gentleman died. So, the gentleman dying absolutely did not trigger any of these
Very true.
concerns.
Yep.
The ongoing accidents that have been, that we're concerned, my son's here, I hope that when he gets his license, that we have this situation fixed, so I don't have to stay up at night worrying whether or not he's gonna be injured severely in a car accident in that intersection as a new driver. So, long before that. And then I appreciate the efforts for the speed limit changes. I think way more, you mentioned Route 111 is a dangerous road. Route 111 has turn lanes in Hudson. We don't even have turn lanes. And again, I just want to reiterate, I think that I appreciate your update, that in your efforts, sir, with getting the RSA submitted for the safety audit, because I really think that's critical, and I really appreciate your support in pushing to get that safety audit approved. I think we need you to back us in wanting to get that approved. Again, your speed limits are important, but we need more than that.
Mhm.
So,
Agree.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything else on that subject now? So we'll look forward to our updates next 2 or 3 weeks, or next month, coming months, leading to our next meeting, and then we'll get some updates. Let's see, second item up, Ray, thank you for that, you were on the agenda there. Rebecca Drive, safety concerns?
Yeah. So if, just to refresh the Traffic Safety Committee board members' recollection again, so that the Fitzgeralds reside on Rebecca Way, or is it Rebecca Drive? They are the first driveway on the right when you're heading south on Parmenter and you take that right on to Rebecca. The intersection itself is more of a merge intersection, it's not at a 90-degree intersection. So one of what had happened over time is that Eversource had placed a portable generator at the intersection. So what it was is they had basically put an obstruction in the road, within the right-of-way, that, again, so people were cognizant of it, so that we're actually slowing down to take that right without going like at excessive speeds. So we had tabled this from January. I had an opportunity to go out there, take a look at it, see what could actually be done. So there's a couple of things that, and one of the other concerns was the children waiting for the school bus. Bob had spoken with the school district, and they had made some arrangements that the school bus will wait there a little longer so that the kids could actually wait in the driveway, and then they could proceed out into the road once the traffic stopped. So that was one of the items that was addressed. What they were asking was, again, to install some sort of permanent safety measure that would force people to slow down. So I did take a look at it. Again, the intersection's not at a 90-degree intersection. They're 90-degree center to center line. The driveway, the residential driveway is about 50 feet from the intersection. So what ends up happening is the flare from the driveway and the flare from the roadway is very close. So, and Mike, thank you for showing that. Another observation that I had seen is, again, you know, that the resident could help themselves by clearing the sight distance. So when you're sitting at the driveway and you're looking this way, you're looking to the left up Parmenter, it appears that that's all their property. If they were to clear that sight distance, they'd be able to look back up to Parmenter. So when they come down the driveway, they stop at the intersection and they look to the left, and they'd be able to see up into Parmenter. I'm not making an excuse that, you know, people should be still driving like maniacs, coming down Parmenter and, you know, emerging. But as you can see, that clump of vegetation there, if that was cleared back, they could definitely improve their sight distance. Another option would be, again, to tighten up that radius. So again, we would be able to put a 36-foot pavement radius out there. The problem with doing something like that, it's like anywhere else. People will still, they're creatures of habit. They'll just drive off the pavement over the gravel shoulder and still go. So is it a solution? Well, we're gonna tighten up the radius, we're gonna pull out the pavement, but it's like the intersection of Griffin Road and Mammoth Road. It's like the intersection of Kimball Road and Litchfield Road. Years ago, we had done that, and it, you know, it didn't solve anything. So,
John, that would be the radius on this side?
correct. Yeah.
And kind of, what are your, if I hear you correctly, what you're saying is kind of create more of a jug handle, turn on the left side coming from Rebecca to Parmenter?
Correct,
Okay.
right. Yeah, so you tighten up that radius.
What
right?
what is the mechanisms, Mike or anyone else, to take steps moving forward with that option?
So what I would propose is next time we go out there to repave Rebecca or Parmenter, is we look at it and possibly cut out that pavement
Okay.
and gravel it.
Where is that on your plan?
It's not on the plan this year,
Okay.
so.
Is it reasonable to have direction from the town to maybe not pave it, but I don't want to say, but to cut the curb a little bit more before the plan to pave?
So, but the question I would have is doing that going to undermine the existing surface?
That's a great question.
Under my,
If you
Well,
just cut it now without repaving?
Will it deteriorate?
that's just it though, we wouldn't pave it. So again, all we would have there would be a gravel shoulder, so you
Yeah.
put a 3-foot gravel shoulder and then you loam and seed the rest of it.
The drain, it's not gonna,
But people are still
Change
gonna,
the-
people are still gonna drive over it.
okay.
Mammoth and
That's
Griffin
my point.
are like that. Now it's gravel.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And you do have some that tap the brake and don't want to go over that gravel, and others that are going to go right over it.
Right, and I mean,
That's just, we can't control that.
right, and you could put a curb there with a 6-inch reveal and destroy someone's undercarriage as well as another option. But I mean, are we gonna do that on every single intersection in Londonderry? You know, Chad says no. However, I do think it might be reasonable for the staff to look into exploring it. So if I can reword Mike's question to you, John. If we cut into the pavement today without repaving it after that cut, would it deteriorate the existing pavement or would it just be a cut?
But, yeah, so we're not gonna repave it, Chad. That's what you
Correct.
guys-
Correct.
Yeah.
Would it, but if you trim in, cause right now it's engineered with with the shoulder and the slope and the grade, like everything that's the sub, I'm sorry, I'm not an engineer, but like
Yeah.
everything underneath,
Yeah,
if you pull that back or pull it back,
Yeah.
would it damage even though you're not paying, would we still have the same useful life? We probably would have the same useful life as it would if it wasn't cut.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you would.
So I think, given that information, one of the 6 in the room, that might be a good next step.
Yeah, so, John, is that something that can be done in-house? And maybe the question for Dave.
Yeah, that's stuff that we do in-house.
Okay, so there's no cost per se entailed,
No,
I'm assuming it's not.
There's always cost.
There's
Yeah,
cost,
there's always costs,
but
yeah.
we're talking about do we have to rent the piece of equipment? I mean, so it's as easy as scheduling it and going out there and doing the cutting?
The only thing though is, again, we need to look at it a
Yeah.
little closer to make sure that, you know, the drainage will function and, you know, where does that drainage go out in that corner?
It's reasonable concern.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just, again, though, I'm just forewarning you, again,
Yeah.
personally, I think, again, clearing your sight distance is gonna be a lot more beneficial than anything else.
has that been articulated to the?
I have not had any contact with the resident.
I'm not sure if Bob has.
Would you be willing, Paul, to make liaison with the homeowner?
Do that, I'll check in with Bob.
And then also, I think we should definitely explore, I personally would like us to explore cutting that, that apron a little shallow on the left, on the north side of Rebecca.
Right,
I
you
mean,
don't have to do
that's-
the whole thing, I mean, maybe you
Not do
can
the whole thing,
shave
just-
it down
just
a
shave
little
it
bit.
down.
Yeah,
So again, I'll have to look at it, just
Right.
because, again, now that we're
Yep.
monkeying around with the left, we need to take a look at the right and make sure that we have the proper radius getting out of there too.
Yeah,
yeah, okay.
So that
makes
way, when
sense.
people are coming out of Rebecca, you're not forcing them into the opposing
Yep.
lane.
okay.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, so,
So what would be next steps?
I think, I mean, assuming, that sounds like a consensus to me, we'll make contact with the homeowner, and we will evaluate that through the Public Works Department.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Sean.
yep.
Think we need anything voted on there, right? Good,
Don't believe so.
we all have consensus. All right, any further unfinished business? I think that's all we had for tonight, for unfinished. Some follow-up. Under new business, John Antonellis, I'm not sure if John is here. John, hey, John. John, I think, was in touch with Bob regarding truck traffic on Griffin.
John Antonellis, I live at 10 Griffin Road.
Yeah, thank you, John.
Not speed, just the amount of truck traffic. It's like overnight, we've been there in that house for over 10 years now, and maybe 6 months ago, it just like started overnight.
Interesting, yeah.
Tractor trailers, we had, one Sunday, we had 4 9,000-gallon milk trucks, tankers, coming from Hudson up to Mammoth Road, and then going north on Mammoth Road from, I can probably guess where they were going, but we had, I think it was March 8th, we had a car carrier, huge car carrier coming from Hudson on Griffin Road to
Right.
Mammoth Road, and then tried to make the turn south
Yeah, I witnessed that
on
too.
Mam.
Yeah, I saw that.
I can't do that with my Subaru.
Right, right. Yeah, it actually jackknifed, right?
Yeah, and it ended up in the ditch on the side of, on
Thank you.
the north side of Mammoth Road.
Right.
Until Backman's come up, and that was a mess.
Right.
But I don't know if it's the map people, Google or whatever the truck is using or anything that's telling them to go up that way, because, it is shorter
Right.
to go from 111 to Mammoth Road
Right.
than it is to go all the way down 111.
Some of those roads are like cow paths.
You get to Hudson, and it's hard to get 2 cars
Right.
down Griffin,
Right,
you know?
okay.
But it was just like 6 months ago, it's like overnight, all of a sudden they just started appearing.
So, sir, thanks for bringing that to our attention. That was back in April. The town manager and I also drove that one afternoon. to take a look, as you brought up your concerns, as well as the deputy chief and I. We've also put out several directed patrols in that area. You may have seen officers out there waiting for trucks
Yep.
to come through. It's not posted on the Hudson side.
Right.
As you're well aware. So this may be a multi-town approach, meaning that, Hudson would have to block it at their end too.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not gonna do
No, I
any
know.
good. And you're absolutely correct, that narrow section right after the power lines, it's tight.
It is.
Where those old pines are and all that, like, it is
Yeah.
really tight for just two vehicles, and I hear you 100% on that. We did not have a lot of luck with stopping vehicles that time. No
Yeah.
one's discarding what you're saying, because we don't live there 24/7, you do.
You
So
know, and
obviously.
it's like, being retired and a little disabled, we got nothing
You
better to
see-
do than
you
look
see
out the
more,
front.
You're right. Yeah, you see more because you're there. And for us, we may be there for 5 minutes, we may be there for 20.
Yeah.
And the old flicking the high beams and things like that, and people do turn around, people do go away. But again, to your point, I think it's a terrible spot for trucking. I'm in agreement. I think we should do something with that, potentially post it, no through trucking. And if it does get posted and approved, if that's the recommendation that we make forward today, we have no problem enforcing that. And try to alleviate some of that frustration for you and your fellow residents on Griffin Road.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
The thing of it is though, is again, it needs to be posted no through trucking on the Hudson end of things.
Correct, that's
too.
what I was saying, there's nothing on
So-
their end either.
Yeah.
So just clarification, is it posted on the Londonderry side?
No, it's not.
And I
So I
did
I
notice
think we
that,
should address that on our side. And then again, a follow-up item, and I'll take that as well, is to reach out to the town.
My
Hudson
thought
side.
is maybe have a collaborative approach,
Okay.
reach out to the town, kind of give a conditional approval to proceed with no through trucking tonight. And reach out to Hudson Town Administrator and see if we can partner with them and ask that they do the same, because I'm sure they probably have a similar process as we do.
Right.
One thing I just want to flag for the committee is I think I don't know that I've seen this in Londonderry, but I've seen it in other towns where a committee like this will make a decision about posting against through trucking or something else. But there's an additional step that we need to make sure we take in order for it to be enforceable, which is that we go in and we update the traffic safety code, which it looks like the last time it was updated here was potentially 2007. At least that's the version that's online. So I just want to make sure that that isn't lost, so that if PD does pull someone over, that they have that enforcement ability that we all want.
Good to know. I believe no through trucking is posted on the South Road side of
yeah,
that?
that's what caught my attention, is as soon as you cross over
Yeah,
Mammoth Road,
there's no
there's
through
a sign.
trucking over there, which
Yeah.
is, that needs to be.
So that has
noticed,
been
just not on the Griffin side.
Correct. So
dealt
just
with Derry too,
shoot
coming from
across
the other way.
right by his house and then carry on.
Right, right.
Makes sense.
Okay, so what do we want to do with, no through trucking? Do we take a vote on that? or do we-
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to post the Londonderry end of Griffin Road against through trucking with an implementing change to be made to the traffic code.
Second,
Second. All in favor?
aye.
Opposed?
But again, you're still gonna have to go back, you're still gonna approach Hudson though.
Yes.
All right, So I'll take that as
Paul
an
will do
action,
that.
or,
Right, so I think, and we just need to get legal to look at this just to make sure that we do that correctly. It may need to go to the town council to say yes to that ordinance
Oh,
change
okay.
as well.
okay.
Mr. Antonunis, you understand though, too, we're gonna try to do what we can on our end of
So
things.
it's gonna
but
start tomorrow, right?
To start.
if Hudson
Yeah,
doesn't
no, I
post
realize
such a
that, yeah.
thing, it's,
You just pull your shades down.
Mr. Chair, in the past, when we've done stuff like this, we've also notified the apps that route traffic. John, I think you've done that in the past?
I have not.
I know somebody
think-
used to do that.
So is there a trucker version of Google Maps per se,
Yeah,
or,
there is.
okay,
I think John Vogel used to do that.
Okay. That helps at least so that the trucks would know not to go there.
We can look into that.
thank you, sir,
You're welcome.
thank you.
Paul.
Is there
Steve.
someone that'd like to
Paul.
speak?
You've got
Yes, sir,
Can I just make a comment about that?
sure, yep, while we're on the subject.
My name is Robert LeBrew. I live at 76 Hall Road. Hall Road is posted as no through trucks from both directions. And, it obviously doesn't always work. I understand that, law enforcement can't be there 24/7 waiting for a truck to come by. I get it, It has to be more of a happenstance kind of thing. Sometimes it's more often than other times, Today I thought I saw a large car, a Longhorn Pete, very large hood tractor. It's vernacular of the industry there. Longhorn Pete hauling a 53-foot reefer up Hall Road. I knew where he was going. He has to make that acute right turn onto High Range Road. So that's always fun. But my point I want to make about this, I've been there 7 years, I think. Yeah, 47. And it's been posted about 20, I think. And I think a lot of truckers, having worked with truckers most of my career, they sometimes get the mentality that, well, that doesn't mean me. No, I'm not a through trucker. Well, yeah, it does. But, unless you're making a pickup or delivery on Hall Road or Laurie Lane or Marks Court, and there's only a couple of commercial enterprises there on that stretch of road. If you count a church as commercial, otherwise it's just one. And so part of it is education. I think they don't get it. Like, well, I'm only going to. I see FKA Wallboard Supply Company. I don't remember their name right now. Coming down with an empty truck, Hall Road, heading for home. Well, that doesn't apply to me. I'm not going all the way through. Well, all the way through to where? There's an education aspect of it as well. And and I thought long and hard in the past about should Hall Road be posted. Say from the North Village on Mammoth Road, no through trucking to High Range Road or to Litchfield Road. It's difficult in that aspect because of your options, as to where you can go. Maybe at the other end, at the High Range Road end, no through trucking to Mammoth Road might help, maybe. But in this instance here, not my end of town, by the way, total opposite end of town, but it seems to me like if on the Londonderry side, you put no through trucking to Route 111.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That may make a difference. That's all. And it may not. Let's start with the no through trucking signs and see what happens. Take it from there.
Good suggestion.
Okay.
I appreciate
That's it. Yep. Thank you.
All right. Yes, sir.
Richard Polinsky, 89 Hall Road. I was going to bring up what was just brought up, but one of the suggestions I had is Hall Road, it's a joke. I mean, FedEx all day long, going up to Stonyfield, all those things up there. These ones that have no through trucking, start putting signs on them with the fines. I think my road has like $100 fine, and I made the suggestion months ago that find out what the largest fine you can put and start putting the fines. $100 is nothing. That's, with inflation, you might get McDonald's out of it. But if you can do 500 or 1,000 or whatever the state, and if it's still 100, go to the state, go to your reps and get it changed. I've got plenty of video of trucks on my road because I have cameras on my house. It's constant. And that's my road. And, if they're doing it down at Griffin, they're not supposed to, or you're going to take care of that now and post it, you have to find a way to address enforcement. I know that you've had patrols up there, but, again, 5-10 minutes, it doesn't do you any good.
Right.
So I have something later in the evening that I want to bring up that I just found out. It was on Facebook through the town of Meredith and the new signs and stuff, and I spoke to their police chief about it. It may help with on the speeding end, not so much this. So keep that in mind at the end, but something has to be done. The north end is getting worse simply because of the bridge that was put in 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
The trucks are they're just using it as a cut through.
Right.
And what good is it to post if you can't enforce it?
Right. And that's always our point. Yeah.
So I see the same thing as Mr. LeBrew sees, because I've been there 39 years. So this isn't new.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. You get a couple of years of it, but I'm getting there.
All right. We good to move forward?
Yep.
Good. Robert, Machinkowski. Has he joined us? No? So I know he was gonna bring the intersection of Mammoth and Griffin, so we're spending some time on Hall Road, north of town, and Mammoth and Griffin, south of town. That's always been a challenge, that intersection. I think, Bob had a discussion with him. He's not here to join us. I know you're aware of it,
Yeah, again, it's,
and that's been there ever since I've lived down there.
yep, again, it's town driveway onto a state road, you know.
Right.
Again, similar to Rebecca, the alignment and,
Right.
You wanna look at a study and, survey it and come up with a 90-degree intersection? Give me the money, we can do it.
Right, so it's those surveys that
Correct.
someone has to,
I do have a question. So the Southern New Hampshire Planning,
Right.
do they do an awful lot of traffic surveys and
that's
studies?
what I keep hearing, more and more.
Can you talk a little bit about
They
that,
do
John?
surveys, Chad, but
Not studies?
well, again, when I'm talking about a survey, I'm talking about a physical survey, so you know
Okay.
where the pavement is, the drainage is,
Okay,
the
all right,
signs, the property lines, what can you actually do?
okay,
So that you can put some geometry to it.
gotcha. Thank you.
That's what I mean by
Okay.
survey.
I was confused, so thank
No.
you.
It's all right.
And I know that there continues to be a lot of discussion about putting roadways like that and intersections like this on a priority list. You can't do them all. So somehow, how do we get those on a list to be looked at some point?
Can I just clarify? So it sounds like the gentleman's concern is this intersection?
The other, yep, the
It's
other
not
side.
his driveway.
That's South Road.
The other side, yeah. It's not his driveway, correct?
No, so see, that's the gravel I was talking about on the right?
Yeah, so I drive past this every day, and, I mean, it is a horrible intersection.
The road used to come out on the gravel area, it used to be worse than what it is now.
Right, oh, see, so they put that gravel in probably
And-
for the same reason
The
Rebecca.
gravel area used to be the paved area.
See, there you
And
go.
I think that part of the other issue is a big part of the issue is the speeds on Mammoth, particularly as you're going south and you reach that hill. People are going 50,
Oh,
55, and
So my kids grew up with
Yeah.
that intersection, newly licensed.
Wow.
so I think, I'm not sure what the next step would be.
So again,
So again, I guess one thing that is always good, though, is if the gentleman was here, what is the issue?
Right,
What is the issue?
right.
I can tell you that our issue is, we seem to go there for a lot of motor vehicle accidents. One of our guys lives in the corner, and he probably has dozens, if not more, of ring camera accidents there.
I would think a significant number of them are probably high-speed collisions.
they've taken the church sign out.
Yeah.
Twice that I know of.
Mike, can you pan that north?
So, right there's the crown of the hill, the tree line, and down the street. The cars come flying up there. Cars trying to come out of south, to go south on Mammoth is pretty much usually when it happens, because they haven't had enough time to judge how fast the car's coming up when they come up off the top of that hill. So the St. Mark's sign's been taken out at least 4 or 5 times in my time living there, so. That's usually where the collisions are.
And I don't know
Or
if it-
trying to go straight across on the river.
And I don't know if his reference was, but about 3 months ago, a tractor trailer tried to make that turn and took out the telephone pole and
Yeah,
made a mess of that whole area.
yeah, right across the road, yep. So how do we prioritize things, intersections like this?
That's a great question, and so I think maybe it would be helpful to look at the number of, I don't know how easy it would be, or probably difficult, pending the new police record system coming, to just get some data on how many serious accidents are happening at this intersection. Because it is a question of priority. But I think this is a pretty dangerous intersection, no question
It's
about
not
it.
square.
Right.
You know, so.
I can't even imagine that it was more.
It's crazy. It's always been like 25 years I've been here, 30 years.
And I apologize, I had no intention of speaking, but I use that intersection quite a bit because I live on Tokenau, which if you're going into Hudson, you do go down South Road. And to complicate matters even worse, if you're coming out of South Road and you're going down Mammoth Road here, there's a slight incline. And oftentimes, unless you're not paying really, really good attention, you're not gonna see somebody until they're halfway up that incline and you can't pull out at that point. So I've seen people get stuck there. And of course, when people see the car coming, they tend to panic and they'll just stop or they'll speed forward.
Right.
So I think it's an interesting intersection, but I think it needs to go back just a little bit to see that incline and the effect that it has on even people pulling out Griffin Road. I don't know if folks on Griffin Road come into that.
You
Yeah.
can't see traffic coming
Yeah.
north
Yeah.
from Wyndham,
Yeah.
Right.
coming out of
It's-
Griffin Road.
It's an odd
That's
angle
that's
to
a
turn.
view of the north.
Yeah.
The people that live there usually, they come up and they'll make it like a big sharp right turn and stop so they can see
Yeah.
both ways, but
Yeah, trucks need to come to that intersection so that they can see both ways. So they need to not come in at an angle, they need to come in square. So that creates a whole other
Yeah,
issue.
you can see, yeah, where it could be difficult, but I can understand what the citizens are talking about.
What's the speed limit on that road? I drive it all the time.
it's
but I don't
40
know.
right there.
Is it 40?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
kinda like the
Mammoth
whole
Road and-
102 issue. You almost, is it the people in the road or is it the people trying to pull out? I think it's a state road, right? So you can't, if you need to change Mammoth, you gotta go to that
Yeah,
RSA route again or have Senator lower the speed limit to 35.
It is a state road.
So Mike, you have that position perfectly, that's exactly what I was trying to illustrate, and Sharon was pointing out, so when people come in, you know, from South Road and they're angled south, if there's a car right here, they can't see it.
Yeah.
So they commit to go, and then in your peripheral view, you see a car at the last second, and they either stop, like you said, or they just juice it and try to make it. And that's usually when the accident happens.
Can you imagine going across the Griffin or vice versa?
it's crazy.
That's when you take
fun.
your life into your own
Every day.
hands. You try to do
Multiple
something
times.
like that. It
30
is, and it's
30
all,
years.
but I've lived here for 35 years and it's always,
Same here,
it's
Sharon.
always been that way, but I think because of the increased traffic, it's just become
More
prevalent,
hazardous?
and more and more people are
Right.
aware of the difficulty of getting out onto that road
Yeah.
from some of these side streets.
Yeah.
Well, in further north of that is a passing zone.
Yes.
So sometimes cars will even pass, so they're flying coming up this hill.
Yeah. We
Just
went
went around
way
somebody.
too fast.
So, to pull it back here, I guess, just, next steps for something like that, I guess.
Actually, another suggestion, sorry, if you go on, like Griffin and the other one come at an angle, but like I've driven across that a lot of times to go from South School down to, go to Nashua to 111 and go across. I never have issues, but I square myself up at the intersection.
That's
so
right.
I can see.
Yeah.
And so maybe the yellow lines can be extended further towards the end of the intersection. Like Griffin Road, the yellow line stops way before it,
Hmm.
so maybe they can just be arched so it
It's just a different way of,
guides people to
Directs.
like
yeah, I know what you're saying.
square up. Just an idea.
I just don't, and then it gets, some do that and some don't do that, and what happens is, I think what the citizen actually asked about was, because of the way you're coming in there, when you're coming from south and you're coming from Griffin, and you hit the intersection at the same time, everyone goes together. One doesn't wait for the other. And you're cutting over double lines at that point, so. It's just what we've done for years, so.
They're all set.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So just to bring it back, next steps on something like this, as we identify intersections that, in 10-year plans and Southern New Hampshire Planning Board involvement.
I think it would be, I mean, I think it's important that this board acts off of data, and I think that the next logical step is to confirm what I think we have anecdotally been talking about, which is, this is a dangerous intersection. Let's put a number to it, that will allow us to evaluate it against other dangerous intersections, so that we know the number of serious crashes that we're talking about. Assuming that you're good with that, Chief.
We'll do.
Thank you.
All written down.
And I would suggest that we leave it on,
Yes.
for discussion next time.
I can tell you that meeting was enlightening for me, the 102 discussion, and having all those people in one room, including Sharon, and the procedure that has to take place in order, like you said, it has to be with data, you need data
There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah.
No question.
to justify it. Everyone in, how many towns are in Southern New Hampshire Planning Board?
It's more than you'd think. It's 40, maybe
Right, so
30.
everyone's trying to prioritize their projects.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
All right, anything on that subject? So we'll keep that for future discussion, to continue that discussion. Next up, Mr. DeFrancesco.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Chair. My name is Tony DeFrancesco, 1 Cheshire Court. I wasn't here to talk about the previous discussion, but I'd like to share with you the fact that I was the victim of a T-bone accident on Mammoth Road coming out of Windsor. And I will tell you, you have seated in the dais next to you a person in a firefighter's uniform that treated my wife with the most compassion that I've ever seen from a human being. And I've thanked him 1,000 times, and it's still not enough. So, Mammoth Road, like quite a few of our roads, are out of control. It's a state road. What are you gonna do? One thing I would say is there should be no roads that aren't in a 90-degree intersection. Everything should be square lines.
Right.
How do you do that? All it costs is money. We gotta stop cutting the DPW budget. We have to give them money to work with. We have to get some money to be able to correct a lot of these deficiencies from the cow paths that we have in Londonderry that now have thousands and thousands of cars.
Right.
But I digress. I'm here tonight because I promised the citizens of Londonderry at a planning board meeting that I would come, that I would talk about South Gilchrist Road, south of 102. I am a member of the planning board, but I'm not speaking as a planning board member. Okay, I promised those folks when the planning board voted in, because they had to, and people don't understand that, because of the current rules and policies that we have in place, there was no way to stop the 2 projects from proceeding that are gonna be on the east and west side of South Gilchrist Road. Lots of people, lots of cars. The people on Tokenel have been struggling for years. We do have several folks in the audience tonight that live on either Tokenel or Ross Drive. Ross Drive is the parallel to Tokenel. They are connected by Gale Road, about halfway in. They are parallel roads, but there's a way to connect inside to be able to get to one or the other intersection, okay? So I will tell you that at the planning board, after the projects were approved, the citizens will, what are we gonna do? So I said, I promise you, I will go to traffic safety. I will do what I can. Before that happened, there was motions made at the planning board to try and mitigate. The first motion that was made by the planning board, and it was unanimous, was to the town council, because as we know, the town council are the only ones that can make the decisions on these types of things. Everything ends at the town council. Broad shoulders sitting right there. So the unanimous decision at the time was, the unanimous vote was send it to town council and say to look at the traffic situation and come up with a plan. Town council bounced it back to the planning board, saying, and I quote, "Have them tell us what they want." Fair assessment? So we did. So there was a motion made by the assistant chair, it was a unanimous vote as well, to put a four-way stop sign at Gilcrest, Tokenel, and Charleston. Charleston is a little farther south, please. There you go. Thank you. So it's right at the bottom of the screen, right there, where the little cute hand is. It's a natural four-way stop sign. It's 90 degrees. I have talked to all the parties concerned, including the chair of this commission, who unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Some are in favor, some are not in favor. John is not in favor. I'm going to speak for you because you already said that you weren't in public. And I'll let the Director of Public Works speak on his own, but he and I have had a conversation and it was not favorable. I will tell you that I don't have a degree in traffic. I don't have a degree in engineering, but I have a master's degree in common sense. And I will tell you that, probably have a doctorate in common sense actually, but I will tell you that if you put 4 stop signs in at a natural, or two-way stop signs if there's only 2, people are going to go through those stop signs at 2 o'clock in the morning when they don't see other headlights. If they see headlights, they're going to stop. And they do stop. I've witnessed it. I live by a 3-way stop sign, one of the 2, I think, in town. And that's what happens. When there's no one around, people blow right through it. When there's cars around, they both stop, they arm wrestle for who's going to go next. And it's safer than if there was nothing there. What we're saying with this, and we still have a, what we're saying with this is we need to do something, and people will talk to this in a little bit. We need to do something so that the people can get out of Ross and Tokenel to be able to go north. Now, there is a little bit of problem with that 4-way stop because when you go south on Gilcrest, it goes downhill, banks, the road falls away from you, turns a corner, and then all of a sudden there you are on Tokenel. Is Ross the better place for it? We got to start somewhere. The fact is, the people, regardless of how long you wait, we're not saying, although some people said at the meeting, we want you to slow the traffic down, slow the traffic down. I will agree. Stop sign doesn't slow down traffic. I will agree with that comment. But I don't think there's very many people with rational thought will disagree that a stop sign would make it safer so that people could go north on Gilcrest, whether it's at Ross or Tokenel, whatever. The motion to the town council was a 4-way stop sign, Elk Gilcrest, Tokenel. But the town council can do what they want. They can accept it, reject it. They can talk about it. They can say, no, let's put it at Ross. Let's put it somewhere else, whatever. But it's going to be a topic of conversation at that meeting as well. But at this time, I've talked enough, and perhaps some of the residents that live in that area, which is our state senator, one of our state senators, would want to talk about what they deal with on a daily basis coming out of Tokenel or Ross.
Thank you, Tony.
You're welcome.
Just as a little background, my name is Ron Bichard. I've lived here in Londonderry for 53 years, and I moved to Ross Drive 50 years ago, when that area was called Belmore Estates, for those of you that might remember that, and part of Gilcrest was dirt. When we moved in, we could leave Ross onto Gilcrest and wait for a few cars. About 15 or 20 years ago, that was 5 to 10 cars as the north-south traffic got heavier. I don't know where it came from and I don't know where it went, but it was there. In the past few years, that traffic has grown sometimes to 15 or more depending on the time of day. Again, don't know where it comes from or where it goes. And I know that there is an increase in that traffic because of the through traffic from the road coming from Hannaford's as well. And I know that does increase. Again, don't know where it's going. But now you do take your life in your hands coming out of Ross heading north. As the southbound traffic comes on at a good rapid rate of speed, and it's tough to see around that corner due to the vegetation. And so it's now safer to come out of Tokenel as you have a better view of the southbound traffic. But now, the northbound traffic is hard to see because of the vegetation that's on the right-hand side. So especially during the spring and summer. Winter, it's a piece of cake. Now that we're going to be adding more cars with the two new developments and the one that's at South Road, and I know we need more housing to feed, you know, the need for workers here in Londonderry because we're just expanding like crazy. But I feel that a better traffic study need to be done rather than just using similar developments, which they have, as a guideline. You know, the guideline for Massachusetts is not the guideline for Londonderry. In addition, by the way, which is one of the things that's the big P for me, is when you're headed north out of Ross onto Tokenel, out of Ross onto Gilchrist, you can be slowed down to 2 lanes when one of there's big car carriers that are dropping off cars over at what used to be Gladstone Ford and all that stuff. And that's more often, it used to be once, and now sometimes it's twice a week, and sometimes it's 3 times a week. And just FYI, as I was leaving tonight, it was 5:15 to come here, there were 13 cars that were heading north. Yeah, north is getting up to the highway, right? And 9 cars heading south. Okay. So, thanks for your time and thanks for listening.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Sharon Carson, I live at 19 Tokenel. This is a situation where I really hate to say, but I told you so. When I first moved to Tokenel Road, it was over 35 years ago. Very quiet neighborhood, and you would get some traffic out on Gilchrist. But that changed as the upper end of Gilchrist up towards Route 2 began to change. First it was they're putting in a McDonald's, and then they're putting in the Home Depot, and they're putting in the Staples, and then the Hannafords. And I remember going to planning board meetings and saying, this is a lot of traffic. And we were assured that we've got this taken care of. But over time, you can see how that traffic has grown. There are times when I will not use Tokenel. I will not go down Tokenel to get out to Gilchrist. And there are other times that I won't use Ross because it's either people are going way, way, way too fast. They're coming down the hill, and there's kind of like a jockeying for position as they're coming out of either McDonald's or the Home Depot, because there's 2 lanes and now it narrows down to 1, and someone's gonna, I gotta get in front of this other person, and they speed, but they don't slow down until they actually start going around the small curve, and Tokenel is at the bottom. That's why when I'm coming home, I won't go to Tokenel, because it really is quite scary that you know that there's a corner you're going to have to negotiate, and it is a tight corner, but someone's behind you and they're really, really close, and you're afraid of getting rear-ended. So I typically will go down Ross to go to my house on Tokenel. It's just, in my opinion, it's safer. But pulling out onto those 2 roads, either from Tokenel or Ross, can be very, very difficult. People are going way too fast. If they're going north to 102, they come at what is considered to be a failed intersection at the bottom of South Road in that junction. They've picked their pickup speed as they go because there's no reason for them to stop. And by the time they get to where Ross is, they're already going way over the speed limit. They're in a big hurry. They got to get to 102. And they don't really stop and think about the people that live in that area and that they have to go out on to these roads every day. And that was the point that I know I made years ago, that this is our neighborhood, this is where we live. And it's great that we have these things in our town, but this road is not adequate to cover that traffic. And what I'm really concerned about is the housing development that's now down at the end of South Road. I was shocked to see this going in. I just was like, wait a minute, that's right along Beaver Brook. Was there a DES study done? Was all these things done? Didn't you even consider the traffic that's going to be coming out onto that road at that particular point? I can't answer those questions. But now to learn about the other development that's going on the upper end of Gilcrest before 102, with I think it was a potential 96 apartments, where is that traffic going to go? I don't know. That road cannot handle it. That road cannot handle the traffic that it has now. I don't know what this is going to look like when that development that's close to South Road gets done, when it's finished. And heaven forbid, what's going to happen up north at the northern end? I think about the police. I think about the fire. How are these folks going to even be able to get down the darn road? I don't know. And I hope these are all things that have been considered. But I know my neighbors have looked to gather together to talk about this and perhaps maybe file a protest with the town about what's going on down in this area. This should not be happening until you have those issues figured out, rather than, okay, we're going to put them in and then we're just going to wait to see what happens. It's not, I don't think it's appropriate, and I don't think it's fair to the people that actually live there. We're the ones that use these roads. We live in this area. So I would hope that the town would be, do its due diligence and follow up on the requests from the planning board. Perhaps we do need some ordinances in place now to deal with some of this development. Not every open piece of land has to be developed. And I know everyone's concerned about housing, but I ask you, how affordable is that housing actually going to be?
I don't think it is affordable.
Yeah, it's not affordable housing. So, you know, I mean, I understand. I mean, we deal with the issue of affordable housing at the state constantly because we want to have that available for people. But why are we building housing that's not affordable? Why are we doing that? So, again, these are questions I'm just posing to the town that I'd like the town council to think about, coming up with perhaps some ordinances that we can use when these folks come to town and want to build here, that we are really taking into consideration the various neighborhoods that are going to be affected by the increased traffic. And of course, the impact on police and fire as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon.
So in closing, Mr. Chair, I will tell you that at the public hearing at the planning board, when we were talking about the two projects that were approved on South Gilcrest Road, there was more than a dozen people from the neighborhoods issuing the same comments that you just heard tonight from these two folks. I would suggest to you, and I think it's are we an agenda item for tonight?
Yes.
So this is an agenda item for tonight as well at the 7 o'clock meeting that will be happening in 27 minutes. So I'll stop talking maybe. But I will tell you that that we need to start. We can't, for lack of a better term, we can't put a stop to the traffic. There's going to be traffic. But I think we got to work a little bit harder to try and control it, to control the traffic, to try and make it safer for the citizens. And the folks down there are not happy. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here tonight, because I promised I would. I appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I hope you will help the process move forward for these folks so that something can be done. If not this, then what?
Right.
So thank you so much.
Tony, I think there might be a sign down there at Gladstone, Londonderry, Ford. Maybe we can double check that. But I think there is one that says no stopping, standing, or unloading I think it's the right of the
Well,
curb, there might be.
If you want me to get into it, I can,
Real-
I can
real-
tell you
real
the
quick if-
genesis.
Right, real quick if I can would you be all right directing the town attorney to draft a letter to Londonderry Ford and educating them on the no stopping standing to include car carrier trucks? Because I've received a couple phone calls regarding this, and I think maybe educating the owner, the site manager, service, or whomever, because I know I've personally spoken to Chief Bernard about this a couple times, this specific thing, and Chief has always said the same thing, and I'm assuming he will continue. Have them call dispatch at the time it's happening, and they are obviously handling other calls. If there's someone in the area that's available, they will address it. But I think maybe a more educational approach to them from our attorney would probably be a good step.
I'm happy to do that. I mean, that, I echo your sentiments, which is, it's pretty hard. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but having been a prosecutor, you can't really enforce these things after the fact. So the
Right,
most
right,
important thing
yeah.
to do is timely, contemporaneous notification to the police to give them the opportunity to respond. I'm not saying that there isn't something else that can be done, but that's going to be the most effective. Yes, to the letter, certainly happy to do that. I know that I believe that there are fairly good relationships with Ford of Londonderry. Those should count for something. So I think, a multi-pronged approach along those lines probably would make sense.
And I'm even fine with phasing it. I mean, I don't want to go to a gunfight with a knife or piece of paper. But what I'm saying is, maybe utilizing those relationships first would be best. Maybe doing both would be best. But I definitely think it's still continuing. And I've been hearing about this ever since I got on the council.
So
And,
that
and
the-
I understand, real quick, I understand Chief's point every single time is, well, hey, Chad, when you called me, there was a call going here, and the officer was at a motor vehicle stop or whatever here, and they have to, and I know they have to physically, generally they physically see it to issue a citation or whatever, or educate. So that, I just think, maybe a multi-pronged, multifaceted approach.
So a letter to code enforcement was sent just recently from the chair of the planning board, because many of us were in the room when the addition was put on for Ford of Londonderry. The question was specifically asked, are you gonna stop unloading cars on 102? If you watch the tape, the answer, on Gilchrist, the answer was, we're not gonna need to do that anymore because now we're gonna have plenty of space.
Right, so.
Whether it was signed into the document, I'm not sure, because I don't have access to the documents, but you do.
That would be, so it's really, there's a stopping standing ordinance, there's a stopping standing statute. That really is the way to address this.
Sure.
Was it written into their site plan? I don't know, could easily go check. But, the remedy, we're not gonna revoke their site plan because of a car carrier. So the way that it should be addressed is through education, through enforcement, and then if there's outright defiance, sure, we could talk about different mechanisms, but
Sure.
it's really not at its core a code enforcement issue.
Yeah, usually letterhead stationery from an attorney goes a long way to a
And
landowner.
Mike had already said he would
Yeah,
do that.
so
So,
thank you all.
and then,
Thank you,
thank
Tony.
you. And then just to finish up Gilchrest, it is on the council agenda.
Right.
As Mr. DeFrancisco stated, it was on the last meeting, it was presented to us. The council had directed the assistant town manager to go back to the planning board, identified a problem, please also provide a means of to resolve it or a solution. From my understanding, Mr. DeFrancisco and the chairman of the planning board is going to present to the council their solution this evening, and it is on our agenda.
Say something on it? You guys are learning, I can't keep quiet, I'm sorry.
You step up, Ray, real quick.
Yeah,
Sorry.
sure. What I didn't hear anybody mention about this Gilcrest thing is that most of the traffic that's on Gilcrest, I would guess, I'm not a master like the other gentleman was in traffic or whatever, but, or common sense even, but I bet most of the traffic there is through traffic. And because it's through traffic, none of us like through traffic. We talked about through traffic with trucks and everything else, but through traffic is fast. Through traffic is moving. They don't care about the neighborhood. It's not their community. They just want to get to where they're going. And, Google Maps and everything else, I travel down Gilcrest all the time to go visit my in-laws that live in way out in Derry. Like, that's how you go all the way to Floyd Road, is go that way to avoid downtown Derry. So if you I support the idea of a 4-way stop because that's a good way to slow traffic down. So I just think it's a good idea. It may change Google Maps from directing people that way because it takes longer, but it'll slow people down naturally. So I think it's a great idea.
Hi, Bob LeBrew once again. I still live at 76 Hall Road. You may think I don't have a dog in this fight because I don't live down that end of town, but I think I do. I use that road sometimes myself. And that's not my point, though. My point is about putting in, signs. We ran into this last year where a vocal group in a certain part of town wanted 3-way stop signs to slow traffic. They wanted the stop signs as a means of traffic calming, which was never the intent of stop signs. I think, I'm not saying that these people that live down that area do not have a genuine problem. I think they do. But I think before we just start randomly placing stop signs, maybe a little bit of engineering, and certainly, John, I would expect full compliance with the manual, the one.
Yep.
And I think that, just for the record, that's the manual for uniform traffic control devices. Just before you rush right into it, I think give that a look and make sure you're doing it right. That's all. And
Be the solution to necessarily every new development that goes into.
right. And speaking of developments, and Senator Carson made a lot of very valid points there about development in this town, and she's right about what's going to happen down there. We saw it happen with McGregor Cut. We knew it was coming. We were against it, but it got put in anyways. And now, up my end of town for sure, they're looking at it's not approved yet, but it's coming, a ginormous development off Grenier Field Road and Harvey Road. Mixed-use development. I forget how many apartment units. Of course, developers, it's what they want to build now is apartments.
Right.
Because that's where the money is. So,
Affordability,
that's what they do.
Yep.
That's it. I'm done.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Sorry, nope.
That's okay.
Sorry, Deb.
No worries.
Ann Champa, 28 Wedgewood Drive, also a member of the planning board. What I noticed when I was researching this project, that Lower Gilcrest Road, the topography of it drops severely as you're going down towards Chase Road. I want to know if there will be any ramifications from stop signs on maybe Tokeno or Ross Drive during winter time, because of it's on such of a steep slope going down. It drops at least 40 feet going through that whole area.
It's things like that.
So
that
I
have to
want to
be
know
looked
if John Trottier can enlighten me a little about that.
You're coming into that the intersection of Charleston and Tokeno on Gilcrest. You're coming into that intersection at about 6% grade.
There's a grade sign there for trucks.
So it's not a place to install stop signs.
Yeah, and all the way down that area from, Ross Drive. That's where the slope starts.
Correct.
So,
again, when we look at it, Diane, we look at what the grade is approaching the intersection. And you're at about a 6% grade. It's not
Right.
the place to put stop signs. Not only in the wintertime, somebody coming down the hill, but also in this wintertime, somebody going up the hill.
okay, that's what I was concerned about. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb, did you want to talk, Deb? Or
No, I'll wait.
you want to back and clean up?
I just want to be mindful of the time.
You're up next, right?
My name's Dave Barlow. I've been in Londonderry for 2 weeks. Ha!
only kidding. If you've been on the police force in Londonderry for more than 6 months, you've been to the intersection of Perkins and Bartley Hill for one reason or another. Usually, it's a pretty serious accident. Recently, I was traveling up in the north end of town, and I saw some new stop signs up there. I was at this committee meeting 20 years ago, asked to have stop signs put at my intersection, and I was told, "Oh, you can't do that. That will impede the flow of traffic." Well, I think it's come time to make that a three-way stop. You've got it, the precedent has been set. High Range, Pillsbury, Gilcrest, up in the north end, over here on Hardy and Stonehenge. Hardy and Stonehenge. There's stop signs there. You've got, okay, okay, right there at that intersection. The highway department has done a really nice job clearing on, no, that's not
The
it.
north end of,
On the north side of Perkins, if you took a left there. They've done a real nice job at cleaning that out. However, if you're making lunch and you're in my kitchen, it doesn't take long before you hear, every time you hear a horn. That means there was a near miss. I've seen a lot of horns. I've seen a lot of fingers. It's right, okay, right at that intersection right there, where you see that. You need a southbound stop sign and you need a northbound stop sign. You've got a tremendous amount of people that live up in Wallace Farms. You've got a lot of activity. These people tend to sleep in the morning because they're late for work, and they seem to think they're going to make up the time on Perkins. Right through, that's where you need a stop sign, right there on the right. I asked the town to put that guardrail in. They did it for me. They did a really nice job. It keeps people out of my front yard now. But the speed of the people going through there, it's crazy. Then you've got the people on Stonehenge Road at that apartment complex. They seem to have a bad habit of flying up the road too. Something has to be done. I would, if you flip that around, keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, see where the end of that guardrail is? On March 22nd, 1991, I was in the southbound lane and I was hit head on in a Plymouth Caravan by two kids that the cops estimated the speed to be 60 to 70 miles an hour when they hit me head on. I lived. I was lucky. My daughter, who's a physician at Derry Medical Center, she ended up with serious problems with her neck, but she's improved now. But they drive like maniacs on that street. They think this is Route 93A. And truthfully, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of going out in the morning. This is how I get my newspaper. This is no BS. This is how I do it. Okay, yeah, now I can, yeah. It's crazy. What's that?
I said, that's how everyone's gotta do it.
It's nuts. Something has to be done. And I said, gee, maybe we should put speed bumps on Perkins. Oh, we can't do that. Oh, yes, you can, because they've done it in Manchester, off Goffs Falls Road, so people can't cut from the post office over to the Brown Avenue exit. Something has to be done.
Thank you, sir.
Something has to be done. Will they get back to me and give me a reason why they're not going to put stop signs there?
So this wasn't particularly an agenda item tonight? You're bringing up something new?
Okay. Will they do something?
So we'll put that on our agenda for the next meeting.
So I have to come again and explain what needs to be done.
Would be good if you came back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will they notify me?
I don't think so. We can tell you what our next meeting is.
Meeting is October 7th.
October 7th. I believe.
October 7th?
Paul, we can have Susie get his information.
Okay.
Bob, we can email Bob and let him know.
Okay.
Bob can reach out to him.
Okay.
At 5:30?
Yes, sir. Yep. Thank you.
Have you ever been to a
accident at corner Perkins and Bartley Hill?
Your house, I have, many years ago.
And even people in the neighborhood have crashed. It's horrible. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
your time. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know we're really short on time.
Right, yeah.
But I want to go back and just say one thing. I beg you guys to try to convince our town manager to, and you guys, to do this meeting at least once a month. There's way too much issues going on. People really are, it's getting worse. And we have no traffic plan in place, and there should be one. You know, when you live on a little side road, it's wonderful. You know, you go through your sides, nice and pleasant. When you live on these main streets and you deal with people speeding day in and day out, it grades on you. And yes, I understand it is what it is, and I have to deal with it, but it doesn't need to get worse and worse, and that's what's happening. Hardy, what I live on, is an extension of Gilcrest. You have the Woodmont apartments coming in, 290 of them, not even included in the study that's what's going on in the lower part of Gilcrest. You have the 7 other houses coming onto Gilcrest, all driveways coming onto a steep hill with it's just horrible. I just feel like we're not doing enough, and there needs to be a liaison from traffic safety who goes to planning or zoning board or vice versa, because the planning board and zoning board need to be aware of what goes on at these meetings. And that's why I always ask for them to be recorded, so people at home can see this and say, well, at least they're trying to do something, or I've got something to add to it. And so that's why I'm begging you people, we're growing way too big. You need to have more meetings, and you need more citizens' input. Otherwise, you're gonna have more and more trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. Okay, so regarding traffic safety flow and Gilcrest Road, next steps, just,
It's on the council's
Yeah,
agenda.
Counselor, Mr. Chair.
oh, we're just gonna,
It's on the
this
council's
is gonna come up
agenda,
again,
so.
okay, okay,
Sorry, then.
okay.
Mr. Chair, one thing I would just like to point out, you know, the frequency of Traffic Safety Committee meetings, legitimate topic for discussion, but that's not something that I, as town manager, control. That's something that this board would need to decide on its own. I think it's worthy of discussion, but I just wanted to clarify that that's not something that I unilaterally have authority over.
Very good. All right, I know we are very short on time, so let's, is there anything further to be brought tonight regarding traffic safety?
I think I would just amplify, so regarding Perkins and Bartley Hill, I would just amplify that, you know, it wasn't an agenda item, and so therefore, you know, some of us haven't had a chance to, like, for
Right.
instance, drive the road, look at crash data, have Public Works, engineering go out and look at it, and that's the reason I think really that we're not prepared to come to any kind of consensus or conclusions tonight. I think we need that information. I mean, again, I drive that road frequently as well. Everything the gentleman said is consistent with my opinions, but I do think we need to generate that data and get the experts to look at this before we can come to any kind of consensus or decisions. Again, I'm not saying what he's saying about, you know, these discussions having taken place at this committee for a while. Again, that is consistent with you know, things that I have observed in the past. We're just not ready to come to a consensus tonight.
Right, agree.
So, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay? And that is all for tonight.
Thank
Meeting
you.
adjourned. Thank you all.